Hi, welcome to the RC Newb podcast. This is episode 21. My name is Tim. If you haven't listened to the show before, well, this is a show where we talk about the hobby of RC cars specifically, which is radio-controlled things and radio-controlled vehicles. It's been it's been a little while since we've last talked. It's a new year, 2015. In fact, RC Newb is now 3 years old, and that means I've been in the hobby for 3 years. And a lot has changed since I got in. I've gone through quite a few vehicles. I've added a lot recently, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I just want to give kind of a little update on where things are at with RC Newb and where I'm at with the hobby. And really, it's if you're not in the hobby, if you're looking to get in, I really think now is the best time. Within the last 3 years, I'm seeing more vehicles coming out. I'm seeing a wider range of vehicles being announced and being released that are really meant for any skill level. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a straight up noob, if you've been dabbling in the hobby before and are just getting back in now or thinking about getting back into it. If you've had some experience with it in the past, or even if you're a seasoned expert, you know, there is going to be something new for you that you really haven't experienced before. Late last year, really from I'd say the midpoint of 2014, we started seeing more vehicles announced specifically from Axial with the Yeti, and then they released the Yeti XL. Well, now, months later, we have not only RTR versions, ready to run versions, but we've got kit versions of those two vehicles. So now, if you want to build your own Axial Yeti, either 1/10 or the XL, you can do that. Or if you just want to go buy one and open the box and give it a run, you can do that too. So that's one aspect of it. The rock racing scene has been growing. It's been booming, really, since last year. And I think you're going to see great things out of that this year. You jumping back into the manufacturers and going through new vehicles. The buggy racing, truggy racing, stadium truck racing might be making a comeback from some things that I've been seeing lately. Scale realism, and we're seeing more of that. We've seen more of that built in, just in out of the box vehicles from Vetera, but now I'm seeing it more and more out of other manufacturers, which is really great. Axial is doing more with scale. There are definitely scale accessories that you can buy and make your own, and I really think this is kind of turning into, I guess, my state of the hobby address real quick, and take it for what it's worth. But these are just things that I'm seeing in and around the hobby. But the rise of 3D printing and 3D printers, and with those prices of those printers coming down, and with more opportunity to get your hands on a printer like that, I think that the scale scene is going to get even larger. Even especially with the fact that really anybody now can make their own stuff. I've been making my own little tow ropes and tow hooks and things, and buying some low cost toys that I've been finding in clearance aisles and whatnot, and adding those to my rig and adding those to the rigs of my kids, and we've been having a good time with that. And I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's small scale vehicles, I think, are making a big play, and they feel like they're making a big play, and they look like they're making a big play. And really, the micro scale, we're talking 1/36, 1/32 scale vehicles. ECX came out with 2 models late last year the beatbox and kickflip in it. If you've read anything on either rcnewb.com or our new sister site, smallscalerc.com, you'll see that I'm pretty high on those two vehicles. Well, now HPI has their own 132nd scale vehicle, the Baja Q32 buggy, and that has just hit store shelves and is now available for purchase. That's another really fun vehicle that the appeal for me is that you can drive it anywhere, and you can specifically drive it indoors and make your own racetrack. And right now I'm looking at a track that I've made over the weekend just by using some blue painter's tape and a couple of cardboard ramps, and my kids and I have been having a good time having little heat races and driving around the basement. With the weather not being ideal for getting outside with our bigger vehicles, but that's fun. And I've taken the beatbox and the kickflip that we have. I've taken those with us when we've been going on little mini vacations throughout the winter. They're perfect for hotel room bashing. They're perfect for driving up and down the hallways of hotel rooms and really wherever you end up going. So that's been, the mini and micro and small scale side of the hobby is booming. There's just so much going on right now in the hobby. It's hard to put my finger on, what is the ideal place to get in. I mentioned scale before. I'm going to circle back. Charisma RC has a just an astounding, beautiful Subaru replica, Subaru Rally replica that has so many little details and intricate parts put into just the look and feel of it, that it's a stunner. I'm not a Subaru fan necessarily, but that is a car that I have circled that I want to add to my collection, just because it's so beautiful. You're seeing more opportunities to get, I guess, hard bodies for RC vehicles. Not really a move away from Lexan, because Lexan isn't going to go anywhere. But from the scale end of things, really a hard body or an injection molded body is where it's at if you're going for true scale realism. So yeah, I just kind of jumped into, I guess, my impromptu where I see the hobby right now. RC car action. Did a look forward into where they think the hobby is going this year, and I agree with a lot of what they were saying. There's some additional areas. First-person video, I think it's going to get bigger. There's been a little discussion that I've been part of on with some folks on Twitter about where we think that it might be headed and what avenues in the hobby that might be all a part of. I don't think it's going to get into the racing end of things right away, but it might. I think you're going to see it more with just bashing and scale rigs. And I've been having just an interesting time with YouTube. I've been putting out more videos myself for RC Newb and for Small Scale RC, and discovering more vehicles, because like I said, my RC car garage has grown a little bit, quite a bit now, and I've been using YouTube to get reviews and get feedback on the models that I've been looking at, and before I pull the trigger and before I invest any money in more vehicles, I want to see what the feedback is, and I want to see what people think of these different machines. So, speaking of my ever-expanding RC garage, when I started this journey in the hobby, I started out with a Traxxas Slash, and I got rid of that last year. In between that time, I had added an ECX Smash, and I still have that. It really hasn't gotten run lately. We have to get that out and knock the dust and rust off of it. Let's see, where else have I added? So when I got rid of the Slash, I went pretty much all in on the scale rig end of things and got an Axial SCX-10. That is still my pride and joy. I've added so many different things to that model. I've got a few more things planned. I've added a couple light bars and light buckets, so it's all lit up right now. I just installed some Proline Power Stroke scalar shocks, and I'm just itching to get out onto the trail and take that out for a drive as soon as weather improves a little bit. I've waterproofed that rig, waterproofed the electronics on it, so I'm ready to go as soon as really as soon as time allows me. But that's been my pride and joy vehicle, and I've got some new wheels coming for that shortly. So after that, I think I'm going to be pretty much set as far as customizing that machine. But then beyond that Jeep, I've got, well, I went a little crazy with the kickflip and the beatbox from ECX, those 1/36th scale vehicles. I had ordered a kickflip, and we had gotten that in, and when I got it, I felt the steering was messed up a little bit, but I looked past that, and I had such a good time. My kids had such a good time driving it. We went and bought a beatbox. Well, in the meantime, I had emailed or contacted ECX and said, hey, what's the deal with the kickflip, because the steering seems to be backwards. When I thought I would be steering to the right, it would go left and vice versa. And the beatbox didn't have that problem. The folks at ECX were just beyond kind. They said there was an issue with the model I had received, and they shipped out a new one for me and told me I can keep the other one. So what I ended up doing with that, I guess, defective model was I tore it down I tore it down to see what made it tick, but I also tore it down to see if I could fix it. And lo and behold, I was able to fix it just by switching the wires around for the steering setup. And now we've got 3 amazingly fun little vehicles that we just have. We have such a good time driving around. And then after Christmas this last year, I had a little hobby money to use up. So I've always had my eye on a rally car, and I didn't want to get a 1/10 scale or larger scale rally vehicle. I wanted to stick to the smaller end of things. So I looked at the HPI RS4 Micro, and I looked at Latrax and their rally, and I looked at a few other models and really had it down between the HPI model and the Latrax, and ended up getting the Latrax Rally, and did an unboxing video for that. You'll find that on the RC Newb YouTube channel. And finally, this past weekend, got it out for a good, solid run, and I love that vehicle. I really haven't seen or owned an RC vehicle that I haven't absolutely loved. I've had some vehicles that I just can't use because of space and time constraints, but every vehicle I've had, I've loved. And I love that little rally, and so much so that I bought a few upgrade parts for it. So we're going to be doing new springs and shocks, and we're also going to be doing bearings to replace the bushings that are currently on that stock configuration. So I'll be talking about that more coming up, and definitely going to be doing more video for that. So it's kind of a catch up on where I'm at personally in the hobby. Now I guess I'd like to turn it around to you guys. If you did you get into this hobby recently? Did you get in because of a Christmas or holiday gift, or did you give somebody else a RC vehicle for Christmas or for the holidays to get them involved? Has your hobby interest been growing? Has it been tapering off? I see a lot of people selling their stuff off. I see a lot of people looking to get in, and I don't really have a good sense of how many are trying to get out and how many people are trying to get in. If there's a mad rush for the door, or if people are trying to beat the door down to get into the hobby. But now I really believe now is as good a time as any. I'm not going to say the perfect time, because who knows, in a few months we could see even more models released and more opportunity to get in. But right now I think the hobby is as good as it's going to get. It has as many options as you're going to find. So, with that, I think I'm going to wrap this show up. I just want to give everyone a little update on where we're at. The podcast is going to be getting back into. It's going to get back into more of a scheduled routine soon. I can't give a hard and fast date on when you're going to see more episodes. But I've got a lot of people that I want to talk to, and I've made a lot of friends in this hobby, and I want to have their voices be heard as well. So I'm looking forward to good things and fun things for the show and for the website. And as I'd mentioned, we've got rcnewb.com. If you're looking to get into the hobby, please check that out. I do a lot to showcase what's new in the hobby, what's interesting, what's fun, and just how universally enjoyable the hobby can be. And then specifically, if you're looking at small scale vehicles, do check out smallscalerc.com. That's our relatively newly launched sister site for RC Newb. And then if you're into painting, if you like the design and the painting and the appearance that you put into and the effort of the appearance that you put into your vehicle, check out rcpainter.com, as that's yet another sister site that we're launching and building up. So with that, I thank you all for listening. This has been the RC Newb Podcast, and be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Vine. You'll find links to all those places on our website. You've been listening to the RC Newb Podcast, and I do thank you for subscribing. If this has been your first time listening, please hit the subscribe button and listen to some of the past episodes, and stay tuned for what we have coming up. So, with that, again, I think this may be my third or fourth attempt at a wrap up. With that, again, I do thank you for listening, and this has been the RC Newb Podcast. My name is Tim, and keep those batteries charged.